Hello, Crosspoint family. Thank you for joining us for our walk to the cross in 2020. 7 times in the New Testament, Jesus said, I am, and told us something about himself, his character, his person in those I am statements. We're going to go through 5 of them, and we want you to pay attention and really get to know and think about who is Jesus Christ, who died for me in my place, who rose again to give me new life. Listed on the website are some materials that you might have around the house that we're going to use to illustrate in an interactive way these truths about Jesus Christ. Make sure that you take some time before watching the videos to gather these materials if you have them. If not, you can still get great benefit out of these videos. But gather those together, prepare your family with prayer, prepare your hearts to encounter Jesus, and then slowly, meditatively, prayerfully, go through these videos and walk to the cross with Jesus Christ. The first way that we encounter Jesus, the first I am statement, and arguably the most important, is found in John 14:6, where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. A lot of people think of religion like a map. And I have here a map of Bloomington, and I've drawn on here some different routes between 2 points. Point A is my house, and point B is the church. And I've marked 5 different ways of getting to the church. I could come across 90th Street to France and get to the church. I could come straight across 98th Street and get to the church. I could come 98th down to Old Shakopee and up France. I could come across 92nd to 94th to Penn, and I could come and take the freeway if I really want to drive fast. The point is not the map. The point is when people think of religion, they think of it like this map, that there's many different ways to get from point A to point B, point A being where we are spiritually, and point B being the Father. There are many ways to get to God. No one way is better than any other way. They're all equally valid. But when Thomas expressed in this passage, Lord, we do not know where you are going, how can we know the way? And Jesus answered by saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus was saying that he is more like a maze, that the way to God is more singular, that if you look at a maze, there's only one correct way, and I've completed this one already. There's one correct way to get through the maze. All the other ways, and there are hundreds of different ways you can take through this maze, all of the other ways end in a dead end. Only one way gets to the destination. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If you want to know God, you need to know Jesus Christ. He's the only right way to get there. If you want to know truth, you need to know Jesus Christ because he is the truth. If you want life, you need to know Jesus Christ because he is the life. I encourage you to print out a maze. We have a link down below. Print out a maze and go through it as a family. You may hit some dead ends. And just remember and be thankful that you didn't take one of those ways. Go through the maze, and when you find the right way, be mindful of the fact that Jesus is that right way. And that Jesus has led you to God the Father, and that you can have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ.
Jesus said, I am the bread of life. Listen to John 6:35. Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. We love a good loaf of bread. I want you to take a piece of bread, loaf of bread, and rip it in half. And then smell. Makes you hungry, doesn't it? If a person is starving, bread will get them through. If you're not starving, bread is just pure pleasure. And we enjoy it, don't we? For our souls, they're starving without Jesus as our bread. When our souls can rest in his bread and let him feed us, we can enter into the pleasure of who he is and the life he has for us. So I want you to take a piece of your bread and taste it, savor it, and let your soul savor what Jesus has for you in your soul with him as your bread of life. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Listen to John 8:12. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but he will have the light of life. I want you just to turn off your lights, sit in a dark room, and just feel how deep the dark is. What can you see? What can you not see? Even in your own home, where you're familiar with the furniture and everything around you, in the dark, it's a little scary. Now I want you to light a candle, a lantern, something that gives just a little bit of light. Look at the light and see what it does, how the room changes with just that little bit of light. Jesus is that light for us. He brings truth to the corners of our house, the house of our heart. He brings light into our world so that we can go forward in confidence, that we can go forward in faith in Him, that He is going before us as if I take my light and walk through my house in the dark. Let Him be that truth. Let Him feed your soul and light your way.
Jesus said, I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. I want you to go and get the props that you've set aside, a stick, a hammer, some nails. When I thought about this passage, here's what I thought about. Shepherds would always have either a rod or a staff with them. Many times what they'd do is they would find a stick that it felt good in their hand and they'd make it their own, but that became something that they used to defend their sheep. And it became something that was an asset to them in their job. And so it's unique here that in this passage that we're reading, Jesus, the good shepherd, as he's standing and defending the sheep, actually the ones that are the enemies come and they take the rod. They beat him over the head with it. They flog him. He ends up coming in and taking the attack that was meant for us. And he stands in our stead. And I want you to take that rod, that stick, or baseball bat, whatever it is that you found. I want you to hold on to that. I want you to feel that. And I want you to think about what it would have been like for Jesus to stand and to take that punishment for us. To be the good shepherd that stood in your place. As you continue to read on in the passage in John, it talks about his crucifixion. In a crucifixion, they would take nails and they would place them into the hands and they would pound them through into the cross. I want you to pick up that hammer and I want you to take some nails, put it into that piece of wood, and I want you to think about what Jesus went through as the good shepherd. And he stood in your place on the cross. And he was nailed to the cross. And the last phrase is, the good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Jesus gave himself for us. And that's what Easter is about.
John 11:25 says, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Imagine the scene in John 11, if you can, and put yourself in Martha's shoes. Martha's talking to Jesus. He's just arrived. Martha's brother Lazarus has been dead a couple of days. There's groups of well-wishers who have come to mourn and are weeping at the side of the tomb. And Martha's having a conversation with Jesus about death. Jesus sovereignly planned this moment into a scene filled with death. Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. Jesus was entering into this scene of death and speaking life. Jesus, as God, has power over death and the grave. We have death, unfortunately, all around us now. We're reminded every day of a rising death toll as we're sheltered away from each other. Isn't it a relief, a breath of fresh air, that Jesus is stepping into this scene and speaking life to us and saying, I am the resurrection and the life. I have power over the grave. I have conquered death for you, and I can give you life. Just like he raised Lazarus physically in John 11, so he is raising all of us spiritually from our death to sin to new life in him. And when he himself rose from the grave, just about a week later after this event, he conquered physical death for all of us for all time. In the time of the Bible, myrrh was used to prepare bodies for burial. And it was a powerful smelling herb. So what I've got here is a little bowl or a little cup of water, and I've got some scented oil. I didn't have myrrh. I have something called Serenity. I'm just going to put a couple of drops here in this oil, water. And that's just so that it doesn't smell as strong. But I want you to smell that oil in that water. And maybe you don't have oil, maybe you have some spray that you use at home or something that smells hopefully pleasant. Smell it and be reminded of that aroma that is reminiscent of death. And remember that Jesus Christ conquered that death for you and gave you life. And that he stands today at the right hand of God to give you resurrection life that lasts forever. Thank you for taking this walk to the cross with us this year. As we said in the beginning, to focus on the cross and not focus on the person on the cross would be to miss the point entirely. We've intended this short series of stations to be a reminder of who Jesus Christ is, again, from the words out of his own mouth. We're encouraged that you watch these videos, and we hope that you were encouraged by them. We want to remind you that we do have services on Sunday morning at 10:30 that air on Facebook Live. If you miss those, the services are also posted on our website. We have virtual online prayer services Monday mornings, and we have devotionals that are led by our pastor, Mike Richards, on Wednesday at noon. We hope that you take advantage of these resources during this time, and if you need any further encouragement or have other needs, please email us or call us at the church, and somebody would be glad to take those down, and we can help you in any way that we can. Thank you.